Thank you for tuning in today. Today we're talking about life. I'm Jacob, and we're here with Montvell. We're going to be talking about just the things we go through as men, but I think just as people, right? Not just men. I think sometimes we could put a label on men, but we are men, so we know how, the things we struggle with, and we can't necessarily speak for women because I think women process and think differently than men process and think,
Yeah.
think. So what I want to talk about is just the things that we have been struggling through, and not only that, how we process them. Because as men, I feel like a lot of times we've always been told, man up, don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And, if people ask us how we're doing, we just say we're good.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been conformed to say. That's what we've been conformed to do. But at sometimes we have to break the silence because if we just keep saying we're good, at some point we aren't going to be good. And then what are we going to do when we're not good? And that's not a good thing because I was in that spot. As I always just said I'm good. But then I ended up getting a divorce, got a son in a mental health hospital, only got to see my kids part time, half the time. So I wasn't good, man. But then people say, how you doing? Or they always say, you okay? Are you good? It's like they didn't give me the option to be like, no, I'm bad. I'm not doing good. And a lot of times if you say you're not doing good, people don't even want to give you the ear to hear.
That's right.
So I want to just start talking about that between me and you because I think as far as men, it's not a weakness to talk about what you're going through. Women talk about it all the time and they actually seem to process things a lot more.
Yeah.
And when we just hold it in, we hurt and it's hard to heal the things that we hold in.
Yeah. I think we have to have that outlet as men. We have to have an outlet because at the end of the day, all the pressure is definitely on us. The pressure to provide, the pressure to secure the home, to meet emotional needs, and it's just there's a lot of pressure on us, bro.
I agree. There's just a lot of pressure on us men on different aspects. And I feel like how women express themselves is feel and touch and emotion and talk. And I feel like a lot of way, and from what I hear from a lot of men, is the way that we express ourselves is we provide. We're providers, right?
Yeah.
So if we're providing, we're good. But then also, if things are going wrong or some things are happening, and maybe our business isn't going too well, or maybe our job isn't going too well, and if we can't provide, then I feel like that as a man hits us in our heart, hits us in our soul, hits us everywhere because if maybe something isn't going the way it's supposed to be and we're supposed to be the providers and we don't know any other way to express love, man, that hurts. So I want to talk to you a little bit and I just want to ask you, where did you learn how to love from?
Uh, it was my mom and my grandma, because those are the only really people who I had around to show me kind of how to love, and I don't know, like I don't know if it's that weird, because I that's the only kind of love I've ever really known.
I feel like that's where we get it from a lot of people is our moms or grandparents or the people that we're around. Um, but sometimes, and I'm not saying your mom or your grandma, but you know, sometimes our parents or grandparents struggle with their own thing,
Yeah,
and maybe the people that taught them love was just a different form of love too. So
definitely.
then they pass that love down, and then they pass it down to us. Maybe we
So
do a little bit better each time.
who says that that's the correct way to love?
Exactly.
Definitely.
And I think sometimes in life, that's going to be the biggest struggle with us is, for me, I know it wasn't necessarily like loving other people because your grandma and your mom probably showed you a great example of how to love other people because they loved you, right?
Yeah.
And, but what about loving yourself? Have you ever learned how to do that or who taught you how to love yourself?
I don't think I've learned how to do that
Mm. I think that's the biggest struggle of men. I think just people, not just men. Let's not put a label on it. I
yet.
think a lot of people, they like your grandma and mom could love you and love other people, but I think all of us, not just you, struggle with loving ourselves. And I don't know why that is, because I struggle with the same exact thing of loving myself. And I think about it every day. Why is that? Why, when I look at the mirror, I see so many things wrong, but when I look at everybody, even if they're messed up, I could see so much right with them and see how good they look and see how perfect they are and see how they fit in and have their whole life together. But look in the mirror for me, and it's like, man, it's so messed up. And it's this morphed image of it doesn't matter what it is. It's not like I'm saying there's shame in myself, but mentally inside, I feel like everybody else has it so much better together. I'm the only one who struggles out here.
But the crazy thing is, like, you know, the people don't see our flaws. Like we look in the mirror and we see all these flaws within ourselves, physically or mentally. But the people who we actually interact with, they don't notice those flaws. So
Mm.
it's like we are our own worst critic when it comes to um, stuff like that.
All right. I agree with that 100%. I mean, I think we do critique ourselves a lot more than other people. Just like back in the day, your teacher would say, grade yourself. And a lot of times you'd be like, even
Yeah,
if you did really good, you knew that wasn't 100 or you could do better or something like that.
yeah, yeah,
I think it's almost the same thing. We pick up that mentality where we look at ourselves and like, oh, well, this isn't maybe who I want to be, or maybe this isn't where I need to be, or where I wanted to be at this stage in my life. Even though that's where we are, I know for me, I struggled a lot. My younger days with school and education, I always felt like everybody's more educated. So I struggle and I look at myself a lot and just think everybody else has it so much more together. But I could see how people may think I have it all together. I've written all these books and I have this studio and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. But deep down inside, I'll hear somebody else. This guy was talking the other day that his granddaughter got this full ride scholarship for golfing. Not only that, she works at Google and she makes like $200,000 a year. And her biggest problem is she has so much money in the bank. And then her fiance has the same thing. He works for this big corporation and doing these great things. And I'm just standing here thinking, feeling bad, like, man, I don't have any of that. I should have went and worked for Google, or I should have done that, or
yeah,
I should have done this. But maybe they're doing good in life and have all this money, but I don't really know what goes on behind doors. I don't really know how
yeah,
they look at themselves in the mirror either.
yeah. The outside looks good, but what does the core look like?
Mm. I know even like with me being single right now, that's my biggest struggle and biggest thing is, some of these women look really good from the outside.
Yeah,
But you spend time with them a little bit and all of a sudden you realize how ugly they are inside.
yeah. The core is messed
And
up.
you have the core, and I think that's what God looks at, is what's in the heart.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have another question for you. So that's, who did you learn how to love? Who did you learn how to love from was the first question. And then we talked about a little bit about self love. But who'd you learn about relationships from? How to be in a relationship, how to be in a relationship as a man, how to be married. You're married right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm single right now. So there's two different, perspectives coming. But, right now I'm having to relearn because I was married and in a relationship for almost 20 years, 18 years, but almost 20, and like half my life from out of high school. And everything from when I was young till now has changed. I mean, like big time change. But you're married and you're in a relationship. So who taught you about relationships and love?
Uh, no one. Um, so that's why, like, it's been, it's been a great 8 years with my wife. It's just we have our hard times because just of everything that I've been through, prison system, and I've never really learned how to be in a relationship, like, um, until I did with my wife.
Mm,
That's when I actually started learning, to regulate my emotions and control my emotions, and um, just being able to budget, family time, and just time management and um, being able to support her emotionally. I think that's one of the big things because she's a very emotional creature.
Mm.
So just trying to make sure I'm there for her 100% or as much as I can be. Um, but I struggle, bro. I struggle. I struggle a lot. It, I know it just like you said, like it looks good on the outside, but and we're and like we're good on the inside. Like we can sit in the living room for hours without the TV being on and have a great time.
Mm.
Just and we do this every day because we don't turn on TV too much and stuff like that. So we're always just just talking and laughing and we have a good time, man. And it's just from me being incarcerated, I get triggered sometimes and feel like I get taken back to maybe being in prison sometimes when she talks to me, or I just get triggered sometimes when certain things, and I have to learn how to recognize. I had to learn how to recognize that, and respond in a different manner instead of reacting how I used to.
That's good.
So
That's
yeah,
good. Yeah, I feel like the same. I feel like I taught myself a lot, and unfortunately, I was married and in a relationship for a long time, but I felt like we learned hard love. Most of my definition of love, I think, was lust most of my life,
mm,
and
yeah,
you know, and I don't think that's necessarily love. It's if you look at lust, it's one of the seven deadly sins.
yeah,
So
definitely.
it's the opposite of love. If you look at what love is patient, love is kind, love is all these different things. Forbearing, it doesn't hold things, and you said something that kind of caught my attention, like your wife is teaching you how to love, and you never really knew what a relationship or that love was. And I mean, you knew what it was from your grandma and your mom, but in a relationship style, you were saying that your wife had taught you,
Yeah,
and you never really started learning until that. So my question would be, and what got me thinking when you said this is, you go to school and there's the easy days, right?
hmm
But then there's the test days, and then there's the days that are harder that you're learning something that you've never learned before. So how do you process that when maybe your wife's having to teach you that, or you're learning that, and there's something that's not the easy love, not the sitting in the living room and having these good conversations, or just the better time, but when it's because when you're learning something, it's not always going to be easy.
no,
So when you're learning something, how do you process or how do you deal when maybe she's teaching you something that's a little bit harder to learn? Or she wants you to learn a little bit quicker than you're learning, because sometimes I've been at school and they're like, we had to stay on this, we had to stay on the schedule or stay at this pace. But I'm still back here and I'm still struggling with like, hold on, I'm struggling with question 1 or 2 and you want us to be at question 10 right now. Because that's hard for me. I mean,
yeah.
um,
I think I so I guess it just depends on um like my mood maybe. I I had to, like I said, I had to learn how to respond instead of react
mm,
to a lot of situations. So when I get frustrated because um, she's not, if let me see, I'm trying to put this. So let's just say if you know she's trying to she's trying to tell me to show her more attention, but without telling me that she wants my attention. I had to learn how to recognize that,
mm,
and it took a, quite a bit of arguments of, hey, you're not paying attention to me, or hey, you need to put your phone, before I could recognize like just when to put my attention on my wife because she was crying out for my attention without crying for it. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
I get that. And I also realize like sometimes the spouse or the significant other maybe sees something we don't, or maybe wants us to be somewhere that we're not there yet. And it could be hard for us to even receive what they're saying because
Yeah.
it's hurtful too, especially as a man. When a woman's trying to tell you something and maybe they don't say it in the right way or the way that we want them to say, or maybe just like we struggle to express ourselves, maybe they don't really know how to express it in the way. And depending where she learned love from or who taught her relationships, maybe she's responding the same way that she was taught or
Hmm.
loved or learned. Because um, I was talking to this one couple the other day, and the lady was telling me, like, well, we're Hispanic. We yell at each other. We tell each other this real quick, but then right afterwards, we let it go and we love each other and we're all good and everything's fine. And the guy, that's not how he learned it. So when she does that and she gets mad or she gets upset or she tries to tell him something, like he can't just let it go. It's not good afterwards because the word she said hurt him, and
Yeah.
emotionally it hurt him, and it kind of affected him mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and all that.
Yeah.
And that's how her family has expressed it. So when she expresses herself, how she was taught, because nobody's ever taught her any different, right? We learn from where we learn. That's what it
Yeah.
is. We learn
Yeah.
from where we learn.
Yeah. I mean, I still, man, I like, I still like take constructive criticism like the wrong way, and then I just want to kind of shut down a little bit, and that's another thing. Like I had to work on that, like shutting down and just not wanting to deal with, just blowing off problems instead of dealing with them head on.
Mm.
Like that's the thing. You got to have those tough conversations.
Yeah, sometimes to growth. I mean, sometimes it'd be easy just to stay where we are, but if we always just stay where we are, we're never going to grow. We get stagnant. That could be a relationship, that could be in life.
Yeah.
And sometimes God pushes us, sometimes other people push us. And I'm not the best person, like I'm not the most receptive person. Like after I processed it a little bit, I could usually come back and be like, "You know what? There is some truth in that." Or you are right a little bit. But during the times, man, I don't do good with it. I struggle a lot. Like you tell me something, even if it's to help me grow, and like for me personally, like, or just being a man, but I don't want to put a label on things. Just keep saying because we're men, this is why it is. Because that's not going to help us grow if we just keep saying that stuff. But
Yeah.
like as a man, I feel like sometimes if we don't know what it is or we don't have the answer, maybe somebody told us something that we really need to work on that hurts. And maybe it's how they tell us. Because most people, when they tell you something, they don't come up and be like, man, Montvale, like, I love you. You're a great person. Um, I think you could do so much better things. And, maybe we could work on doing this, but let's work on it together. They usually tell you, like, usually once they get frustrated or angry or mad, they tell you something. Then all of a sudden it's like, you don't receive it that well because of the way that they told you to. Or my old mindset, it doesn't matter if they even told me like that. My own mindset tells me this is the way that they're telling me because that's how I've heard it from everybody else before. Not
Yeah.
how they're telling me, not out of love and wanting me to grow, not out of love and wanting me to be better with them, but out of somebody like critiquing me or telling me that I'm doing something wrong. I know for me, when somebody tells me I'm doing something wrong, especially if I'm putting my heart into it, right? That hurts. I
Yeah.
don't take it right. I mean, like even at I'm not the best loser. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm a good winner, right?
Yeah.
I think everybody's a good winner, but like even in basketball, like we lost this weekend with the kids, and I'm like, dude, I was getting mad. But the team's like really good, and they have like a whole bunch of really good players, and half our players are still like kind of beginning or first seasons and stuff and can barely dribble and like struggle with it. Some person will be dribbling in, they'll get out of the way instead of try to block them
Trying
or
to block.
something. And like, I'm not the best loser, but I'm trying to tell these kids like, look, we have to learn how to lose like we win. We
Yeah.
can't just have that winning mentality because when we lose, how are we going to react or act? And I feel like that's my mentality a lot is like, hey, I'm not the best loser. And when somebody tells me something I need to work on, it almost goes back to that same, like, well, you want me to start naming all the things you need to work on? Like,
Yeah.
you want to go tell me one thing? I
Yeah.
don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
Man, I don't know, man. I had to talk some motivation into my son at his soccer game this past weekend, and he wanted to give up, and I had to tell him, like, because I never had a father around, never had nobody to tell me, hey man, don't give up, keep going.
I mean, losing like we win, man. Like, losing like, just kind of having that mentality. Like, even people telling us stuff when we're trying hard.
Got you.
And I mean, like, it's hard because even as a dad, right? Like, you're trying to tell your son, like, don't give up, but then you've never had anybody tell you don't
Tell
give
me
up.
exactly. There you go.
So, how are we supposed to know how to do that?
Exactly.
And that's
That's
hard,
right.
man.
It
That's
is.
really hard. It's like,
There you go.
here we are as men trying to do things that nobody's ever showed us or told us how to do. And
There
it's
you
a whole
go.
new realm, a whole new thing.
Yeah.
So, it's easier for me. I'm not gonna lie. I want to fight the refs. I want to fight the other coach. I want to fight the other team's players who are, parents that are
Oh,
cheering for them
facts.
because I'm struggling over here and everybody's cheering for the other team. The other coach is happy,
Yeah.
and then the rest, I feel like, maybe they're calling good calls or bad calls,
Yeah.
but every call's a bad call when you're
Yeah.
losing. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Every call's a bad call
That's
when you're
right.
losing, and that hurts.
Yeah.
That really does hurt, man. So, it's a struggle just trying to learn life,
Yeah.
to learn life, because that's really what it is.
I try to, man, when I start feeling like that now, honestly, I really just try to um, put my mind in a positive mindset, remind myself, like if it's my wife that's giving me the constructive criticism, I try to put myself in her shoes
Mm,
and to take myself out of my own out of my own perception or reality
yeah.
and put mine in hers and try to see from her point of view, like, if it's me spending too much time on other things and not her, then I know I need to prioritize my wife and not work,
Yeah.
so I think I try to switch and just get into a positive mindset, remind myself that, hey, I'm grateful for my wife. I'm how much I do love my wife, and that usually helps me because, like I said, I have a tendency to kind of just shut down, and
Mm,
I just don't want to talk about it, and I'm trying to break that habit.
yeah. Bad
So
habits are hard to break, man.
that's why it's so important to combat these issues as soon as we have them, because that's just the more practice I get. I can't practice until we do have an argument. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
that's really good, man.
So yeah,
That's really good. It gives you more practice to become better.
yeah,
Gives you more opportunity to become better. Because if not, if we're not growing, what are we doing?
yeah.
I don't think we ever stop growing. I mean,
No,
they say with age comes wisdom for most people, but some people they want to stay in the same spot they've been
yeah,
their whole life.
yeah.
I know people just like that doing the same thing we did in high school, and I'm
Exactly.
43 right now.
I know. Me too.
It's like, dude, it's
Yeah,
like, what point are you gonna grow beyond your circumstances, beyond your mindset?
yeah,
And it's hard for me too because you know I'm still in the mindset that I'm a teenager or something. Like the stuff I did when I was young, I still think I'm that person. I'm like, dude, I haven't done none of that. All that stuff, maybe I still do a couple little things, but I haven't done most of that since I was young. So that's not the person I am anymore.
yeah,
It's not even the stuff I enjoy doing anymore. I can't even imagine myself doing that stuff anymore.
yeah,
Like half the trouble I got into when I was young, or half the dirt we did, or whatever. It's like I can't even imagine doing it now. When I get mad or angry. I mean, I can imagine doing some of it, but um, you know, it's just different. I have kids, family, people who love me, and
Yeah, it's those kids, man. Like that is one of my like number one motivation is to not let my kids um, witness, me losing control or
mhm,
not able to control my emotions. I got to teach my son to control his emotions. I got to teach my son how to combat a stressful situation, especially if it's going to be between, him and a spouse, girlfriend,
yes,
whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and man, they watch. They when you don't think they're watching, they're watching you.
oh, they're always watching.
So I think they are a constant reminder to me to make sure that I am creating peace within the
Mhm.
home and not like not tearing it down or not being disruptive just because I can't control myself.
Yeah,
Especially if I'm doing something to disrupt the home or that's not allowing me to be in sync with my family, then I need to be I need to be held accountable. I need to take responsibility for that.
I like that. I like that a lot, just because we talked about it gives us the opportunity, right, to grow, but it also gives us the opportunity to teach, because those eyes are looking at us
Yeah,
at all times.
definitely.
And too often, I'm blessed. I feel like I'm pretty good, but I still have things to work on. Right, I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But even this weekend at the game, like, I'm getting mad and frustrated. My son kept saying, "Dad," give me like that hand sign, like, "Calm down, chill." Like,
Yeah.
I don't care. He
Yeah.
pulled me aside one time and said, "You know, Dad, I don't care if I win or lose. Calm down." I'm like, boy, we didn't come to win or lose. We came to win, boy. We came to win. We're not just playing just to play. It's like, I don't care. I'm just having fun. I don't care if I win
Yeah.
or lose. I mean, like, it doesn't matter to me. And I'm like, dang, my mentality is like, we came to win.
And he just wants to probably just be spending time with you and playing the sport, bro.
And it be with his friends, be with me,
Yeah.
just have fun. It's just like, and here I am getting all serious and mad and want to fight the rest and
I'm
feeling
the,
like winning's
I'm the
everything.
loudest one at my son's soccer team.
Same here. Last year, actually, in basketball, my son told me I'm not allowed to talk anymore
Oh,
because I'm getting mad. And I'm getting mad, and I'm like, dude, I got to learn self control. My kids have been good at that. My kids have been good at teaching me a lot of things in life. I think, as
yeah,
a parent, you think you're supposed to know and teach your kid all these things, right? But the truth of the matter is, you've never been a parent before.
yeah,
You've never, so your kids actually will teach you how to be a parent.
exactly.
And I think your job as a parent is to teach them how to be a kid,
Yeah,
because a lot of times these kids struggle with stuff, and you gotta let them know, like, hey, it's all right, it's okay. You've been a kid before, and the things that we didn't like gives us the opportunity to teach them or show them something different. But we always think as parents we have to have it together, and we need to learn how to, we need to teach them how to do this. But they will teach you how to be a parent and a good parent, because if you're
they will.
not, they'll start reflecting what you're doing. And you're like, all right, well, that doesn't look good on them. Maybe it doesn't look good on me too. But then as a kid, they've never been a kid before. So it's important not to steal that from them and help them and teach them so they could grow up and be successful adults, be mature adults, be good parents themselves. Because you know what? Maybe nobody's ever taught you, but you're teaching your son, you're teaching your kids. And that's a big difference, man. That's a huge difference, because a lot of times, how many generations is it going to go through where nobody teaches? Are you going to teach your son just man up? It's not all right to be sad. It's not all right to be happy. It's not all right to win or lose. Like, we always have to win. We always have to do this. That's how
Yeah,
I felt my dad's mentality was. It's like one win, 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 win. And I'm like, dude, at some point I just got sick of sports. Like, I'm done. Go
yeah,
win yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I'm done.
yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta let them be them
Yeah.
first and foremost. I try to. My wife taught me to express that in them just by like on Fridays. I let them wear whatever they want to wear. out their
Mm.
closet to school. I don't care how it looks, but they are happy.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're happy whether they got on striped pants and a polka dot shirt and a Paw Patrol hat. They're happy.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, go change the clothes. Like, but no, that's how you want to express yourself. Go express yourself that way.
Do it.
You want to wear your costume to HEB? Hey man, go put it on. You know, and
Yeah.
that's just part of just letting them be who they are, letting them express how they feel on the inside and project that outside.
Mm. Yeah. It's a tough one. Instead of just telling them to hold it in or be who this or be that. That's definitely tough because I think as parents or adults, we want to, one thing we should have control over is our kids, right?
Yeah.
But we need to teach them how to have control over their own emotions, their
Yeah.
own feelings.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I guess it's just like a coach, they're going to get old and they're going to have their own relationships and they're going to have their own life that they're going to have to deal with. And if we've always just told them, how are they ever going to know what to do themselves?
Yeah.
That's deep, man. That's deep. All right. Well, we're probably going to wrap it up for today, but we'll be back talking about more relational stuff, more stuff that men deal with, more stuff that people deal with, more just hardships of being parents, hardships of being a dad, hardships of just living
Being a
life.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen to that. All right. Thanks, y'all, for tuning in.
Peace.